Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm here with Bobby Rodrigo. Bobby is doing some excellent work out there. You know, we are in a pandemic. People are starving. You know, the pandemic, the depression will not be televised. America does not want you to know that America is in dire straits. So that percentage of America that is being depressed even further by what's going on in this country right now is kept away from you. But luckily, we have people out there in the field that are doing magnanimous work. Bobby Rodrigo, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, my brother. How you doing, Egberto? It's been a minute since we did this online. Of course, we connect all the time, but you know, sometimes I get mad enough where we should talk online.
Look, let me tell you, Bobby, and these are times to be mad. First of all, Bobby, tell me a little bit about this group that you've organized, that you're working with to feed thousands of people right now on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah, so I've been, you know, as you know, and as you have covered, I have done relief work for many years, and when things happen, the ones that are doers, the action people, pretty much come together and say, okay, what do we got? You know, what are we doing? Can we do something? Or ideas are developed. So the real lead in this is Chef Jeffrey Moore from foodfleet.com and Justin Zollner from the Wave Northwest. And I know Justin from the Green Sports Alliance originally, and actually Jeff introduced me to him. I know Jeff for a number of years. Jeff actually cooked for the Lakers, for example, for 10 years, I think, or 7 years, whatever it was. But he's one of the top food industry people there is in the world. So anyway, Jeff, in the middle of the COVID, Jeff contacted me and let me know what was going on, and they needed a logistics guy on the ground to run everything on the ground. So he brought me in for that, asked me to come to the Northwest. So what has happened is private donations have paid for the Alaska fisheries through Kevin Scribner, another member of our team, to bring down lingcod, which is high-end cod, and sablefish, which is high-end fish, bring it down, have it processed on the boats, cut into fillets, 1 pound fillets, frozen and given to us so we can put them out into the community. Now, none of us are dump and run kind of guys. So the idea was, because of particularly with Jeff's connection to the food supply chain for his entire life. I mean, he actually ran the department in New Zealand for a number of years, for example. The idea is, we know that, inside the industry, we know probably 85% of the independent restaurants are going to be out of business by the end of the year because of what's happening today. So the idea was to create an economic empowerment model. And you know me a number of years, Egberto, you hear me say that all the time. I want to empower communities. I'm not a dump and run guy. I refuse to be that way, and we shouldn't be that way, in my opinion. So what we're doing is we created a food box program that has a number of factors. Number one, we wanted to raise the level of nutritional value that is given to people in crisis, because giving somebody a ham sandwich like the Red Cross does is moronic, in my opinion. The other thing that we wanted to do is create a food box recipe type thing, and meals and either raw or processed, that are more ethically directed. So if we go into the Cajun community down in Louisiana, I'm not bringing them, you know, food that they eat in Chicago, a pizza. You know, we're creating a Cajun model or something that gives them the kind of comfort that we need. But the most important aspect of this is we are going to buy food from locally sourced farms, urban farms, from people of color, indigenous people who don't have access to a lot of things, from the farming aspect of it. But we want to also shrink the food supply chain down to locally sourced. So the Alaska fish, and being in the Northwest, is locally sourced. So we got to buy.
Let me stop you a second, Bobby, because I want to make sure that our audience understands what's going
Absolutely.
on. First of all, what's the name of this organization that's put in
this
together?
Justin Zollner's organization is called the Wave Northwest, the wavenw.org or anyway, the Wave Northwest. It's under the umbrella of a sustainability. He actually has a climate change organization and has been working up in the Northwest for a very long time.
And now about this fish, I know you got several 100,000 pounds of
40,000 on the ground right now. 40,000 pounds.
How did that come about?
So it was done by private donation. So some of the larger donation families in the country, and I can't name them yet because we'll go public with it formally when they say go ahead. I mean, they're not looking to get their backs padded, which I love too. So they went out and they bought this fish. They paid for the processing of the fish on the.
And now how much fish was that total again?
40,000 so far. We're going to have 300,000 pounds by the end of September, which is insane. Because each pound, each pound of fish is 4 meals.
Right.
You know, so I mean, so that's amazing. You know, the amount of people, the amount of meals we'll be able to do. Plus, of course, we can't only feed fish, but the idea is, you know, I mean, the ideas are obvious to a lot of things, but that's important, Egberto, because again, this is private. Now, mind you, I got no issues working with the government. We all pay taxes, and our tax dollars are supposed to be in large part about delivering public benefit to the community. And you've heard me talk about this many times. This was one of the reasons why I, along with 2 other marvelous gentlemen, created We Do Better, because it was all about who delivers public benefits best to the community. So the idea, we want the federal government or any state, I don't care what government, we want them to be involved, of course, because we want to use our tax dollars to what they're supposed to be used for. You know, if we go to war, we can do it in 5 minutes. Well, when we have a crisis, we can't do it in 5 minutes.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really ridiculous what we deal with in this country in a crisis. You know, I consider what we're dealing with the COVID is a hurricane. I'm in relief mode. That's why I'm here. I understand relief. I want your community, Egberto, to tell me what you need, and I want to help you get it. I mean, I shouldn't be telling you what you need. I'm not in your community. You should tell me what you need, and then we should work to get it. You know, it's a model that I believe works. And again, empowerment always works. So if we're able to buy food from local farms, that gives them jobs, it gives them employment. And then we want to pay people. We are paying people. We're going to pay people to make the boxes. So that's an unemployment. So we can go to a restaurant and say, okay, listen, we have X amount of fish. We want to create these food boxes here. We have this locally sourced stuff. We want you to create the boxes. So now you can have an employment model. If it's 1 day a week, who cares? If it's 5 days a week, whatever it is, they get paid to put this together.
And let me see if I understand this right also. So you may take this fish to the restaurant. You may have gone and bought locally sourced produce for them to use as well in their cooking. So that restaurant that would otherwise be closed, you can actually have it open by feeding the rest of the community with donated food that you got. So what you've done is
so it's a little bit different. So the idea, the opening them up is a completely separate issue per se. Them working is the issue.
That's what actually I understood that. I understood that. So what you're saying then, Bobby, is so that restaurant gets to, and it's not about opening up to the public. It's about providing a service to this organization that's trying to feed a whole lot of people. So,
right, and we're empowering the community, and then we'll take those boxes and feed it to that community. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we also want to sell boxes to the people who don't need the relief, but love the food because it's locally sourced, organic, all those wonderful things. And then we're going to match, if you bought a box for me, I would match the box 1-to-1. We all hear about matching donations, and then take that box and go into the community. So we're creating a new food supply chain cycle.
A sustainable model.
Thank you. Well, I don't use the word sustainable because they've hijacked it politically. So I use the word resilient because they haven't hijacked no one yet.
Well, you know, I'm going to use that word sustainable.
Of course,
I'm progressive, man.
Absolutely. And I think, of course, the way we hijack words politically is absurd. You know, I mean, we're looking at it every single day, unfortunately, and it gets in our way. You know, I like to give your audience an example because I really find it kind of humorous. You know, when I think of my conservative friends, you know, and we're talking friends, we're not talking about politicians or elected people. We're just talking about people who I know, you know, and I see that they're mad at this Goya boycott, for example. And I love it. And I have reminded them, and I'll remind everybody else, that as long as the government is not involved in the decision-making of the boycott or helping one side or the other, that is, to me, the true free market model. If our community forces a vendor to behave in a certain way or they don't get our business, I'm all for it because it's truly organic. So I was telling people, I says, you know, if I open up a restaurant and I put a Nazi swastika in the window, I'm obviously gonna go out of business because a lot of people aren't gonna come to see me. So you don't need the government to come tell me I have to remove it. You just don't go, and we're gonna be gone. So you know, it's like I'm telling my conservative friends, you always rave about capitalism, That's capitalism. That's the real capitalism. Community forcing vendors to behave in a certain way. I don't shop in Walmart. You know, I don't shop in other stores because of the way I know that they treat women, for example. So it's to me, I protest with my dollar. Now, I'm obviously at the minority, but so what? They don't get my money because of what I know they've done to women who I know personally who worked for them. And I'm like, oh, you're not getting my money. You know, so I love the fact that the argument is reversed. You know, and I don't care if the
well, actually, what you saw, Bobby, is you
Yeah.
saw the hypocrisy of selective capitalism, right? With these folks, that's what you saw.
No, what I saw was not. See, that's the difference. What I saw was government force, and I'll give you the example.
Yeah.
I'm pissed about what I saw yesterday. I know you know that. You heard me on the call earlier. So we did this food distribution model yesterday, and this wasn't our full model. This was just we want to get when I have commodities.
You wanted to get rid of the food. You got to get it out in the community.
Yeah, I mean, if I never do our food box program with 40,000 pounds, that stuff will be out in the community in a month. Whatever, we'll figure it out. So we did this. It was a marvelous beginning of the day, and then we had stuff left over. The Oregon Food Bank and the Columbia Gorge Food Bank that we were working with, they had their product left over. So I took their product in my refrigerated truck, and I went out with Native American leaders, and we went to visit some outlying Native American communities, particularly fishing communities that exist along the Oregon and Washington state line. We went on both sides.
I think it was at the Columbia River, right?
Yeah, the Columbia River and the Hood River, both.
Yeah.
So we go to these communities, and you have some video on it, of course, that you'll show at your convenience. But when I went to these communities, I was going to United States government land. I was not going so I got to the point where I was thinking of these phrases in my head that I could scream about. But what happened to this community? And I did a thing on the sign, and it says that this is a Native American community in lieu of. And what that means is that when they built the dam, this is the government now, U.S., state, I don't care. They built the dam. They built the Dalles. Beautiful, wonderful, fantastic thing. But when they built the dam, they built two of them here. When they built the dam, they flooded all the Native American communities that were on the opposite side of the dam. So they destroyed their communities. We're talking about something that happened in the 50s, people, okay? And they moved these people to these government little community places, and they didn't give them electricity. They may have a single source of running water, and they have a shared bathroom, and they're living in crap. So this isn't something that is Republican or Democrat.
This is in America.
This is America, thank you. And this is about government force. This has nothing to do with capitalism. This has nothing to do with government force. They created this city for white people, for people who have money. That side of it may be a little capitalism, whatever. They created this community with our tax dollars. They wiped out, we did more conquering of the Native American community. That's what they did. They did
and that
more
was
conquering.
their reservation. Was that their reservation then?
Yes, they would ask. Sovereign land. Sovereign land we're talking about here, people. Now, everybody, well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people who know what just happened in Oklahoma with the Supreme Court.
Half the land belongs to natives.
Well, and that is real important. And the interesting thing is that even the discussions are starting to be deflected because it was a criminal case that did this. So they're talking about criminal convictions. I was having a discussion yesterday with one of the Native American community leaders about this very thing. They opened up a big can of worms, and it's not like the people haven't been litigating this. We're talking about legislative acts that are in existence for decades that are supposed to be taking care of these people with the tax dollars that we do it, that's allocated from the situation they created with creating these dams that haven't been done at all, thrown under the rugs, and they're on these government properties. United States government. So I was saying.
Okay, stop a second, Bobby. They're on the reservation. They're on the reservation.
They were on the reservation. Now the reservation has been moved to United States government land.
Oh, so you're saying the flooded land was their land, but the reservation is not a part of where they are now.
That is correct. That's why it's called in lieu of. It's right on the sign that I did the video. It says in lieu of. It's insane what I saw yesterday. You know, it's like think of the words ghetto in any place that you can think of, and that would be an upgrade. And I am dead serious. I'm not saying that even flip. Because most of the ghettos that I know of at least have electricity in some way.
So tell me more about what you saw, brother. And I think I have some videos to attach.
Yeah, it is amazing. You know, you go in and the entire, there's not one permanent housing structure in the thing. It's all mobile type things that are broken down, old, no windows, busted doors, all kinds of things. Families. We're talking about families. Your children all over the place. families. And so when I'm bringing to them, you know, these boxes from the Oregon Food Bank had produce in them, had butter, had a gallon of milk, things like that. Then I've got this frozen fish. I'm giving them, I have 3 pounds in a bag. So I'm giving, I don't care how many, you want 10 bags, here you go. They got no place to put this stuff because they don't have electricity.
Yeah.
So they got so they're gonna have, so the fish I give them, they're basically gonna have to cook right away and then have to eat it right away. And it will, you know, but again, this is why dumping and running don't work. You know, so now we're already, so Warm Springs, which I haven't been to yet, I'm gonna be real mad when I go there. They haven't had running water, Egberto, for 2.5 years, and it's a 5,000 person community. 2.5 years.
And we don't hear about this on TV, brother.
No, of course not.
Okay,
no,
so tell me the name of these 2 communities in, I guess it's in Oregon and Washington.
So the individual, well, you'll see the names of them are on the sign, so I'm a blur in a way, but it's the Long Pine was one that I can tell you for sure. Long Pine was the one by the dolls. There was one by Cascade Locks. I think that was part of the Umatilla tribe. The other ones, I can't remember the name of them, but they're on the signs because
well, you know, we're late preparing this particular interview, and I have to process it after. So, folks, the videos, I'll add the videos later, folks, and likewise, I'll try to put inside of the blog post some of what Bobby is talking about. But this Bobby came across this delivering food because he knew there was a need in that area, and then he discovered something that he was not immediately aware of. Continue, Bobby.
Yeah, so you know, it's mind-boggling. In the United States of America, in the year 2020, the things that we see. You know, I look at all this keyboard warrior stuff on Facebook. I mean, I have as much reach as anybody.
Now, Bobby, let me tell you something. You and I have philosophical differences as far as where government stands and what government is supposed to do. But both of us share the exact concept of making sure people are helped. And making sure people are treated right. Whichever one is successful at any given time, we all support, just like I support you 100% in the
same.
work that
and
you're doing.
The only difference that we have is that I don't believe in government force.
Right.
You know, I don't believe in force. And, you know, I'm a big choice guy. Like the Walk for Change, as you see behind me, it's all about trying to get, you know, to amplify, to stop the government from removing freedom of choice. And we can all think of different things that we can start with any number of subjects about freedom of choice. You know, it is about choice and it is about liberty. I'm a big liberty guy, but not in, I hate parties.
Hey, Bobby, what I don't want to do right now is for you and I to get into our philosophical
I don't either.
I want us to talk about the people that you're meeting along your path and the kind of dire straits a lot of people are in that you're seeing. Some of them, it goes beyond this pandemic because, yes, some of these people are...
The pandemic has nothing to do with it. The only reference to the pandemic to this particular thing is, like, for example, the last numbers I got from the Native American community along Yakima was 1 in 32 were testing positive. Now think about that, considering the other numbers I was seeing, 1 in 32. So one of the media outlets in Yakima, for example, just released their largest obituary column in history.
Wow! I saw that also right here in the Houston Chronicle, man. There
you go. So you're having things that, you know, but you think about this. So let's remove the pandemic from the thing. If somebody needed a medication for anything, insulin, a lot of insulin has to be, well, some of it, but it has to be at room temperature. It can't be
in hot temperature like in the middle of the summer. Right? Yeah, right.
So they don't have a way of they only can keep it in the shade. Basically, they don't have a way to do that because they don't even have places that have like a completely air, you know, like enclosed windows on it, for example. You know, so and mind you, you know, you have Warm Springs is a great example, and I haven't been there yet, but I've been hearing about it since I've been here. You got to go in there. So I went and got a bunch of intel last week on it, and I'm going to get ready to go there next week. It's complicated. It's big, you know, 5,000 people, but they're spread a lot of places. But they have no running water because their infrastructure is destroyed, and the state of Washington is involved in the fix, and the state of Washington's got their head up their ass. So, the state of Oregon, I'm sorry. And so when it comes to the infrastructure fixing, you know, we're like, let's go put wells in, like I did in Puerto Rico. You know, we installed wells.
I remember you drilled some wells, yeah.
We drilled wells because the idiots at the government level and at PRESA, you know, well, it's going to cost your community $2 million for us to do it. I'm like, are you serious? They don't have water because of a storm, and you're going to give that city a bill that doesn't have any money. Same thing here. So the state of Oregon, for example, it's a great thing about government, whatever. So the state of Oregon already allocated money to fix all of this and to the community. They allocated it. And then they took it away because of the lower in the lottery. So now they can't. So now the fight is to get it. So the Native American community have already told me that the fight is to get it out there. So publicizing this type of thing is really important, what you're doing right now, so Roberto, because I guarantee you they all love it. I'm going to make sure they all see what's happening. But that is real. I mean, it's money that was already allocated them to fix a problem that the state created in the first place. And that money, so every time they go into the infrastructure, this is part of the construction aspect of it, every time they go into the infrastructure and the pipes, they find more problems. So that's why they haven't been able to fix this in 2.5 years. And of course, pandemic now, so we got a 6-month dead time, basically 5 months, whatever the hell it is, that's going on in that regard. They pull permits for people to do stuff. And my comment was, as soon as I got here, it's like, well, hell with the government. Let's use the government of the sovereign nation, make the decisions, and we go in there and put wells because nobody can stop us. We can permit through the sovereign nation, and at least people will have water. They don't have water. Bottom line, they don't have water. The most essential thing we need to live.
They have to get it trucked in every day.
Exactly. It's absurd. On the continental United States, everybody, let's be real here. This is not even an island somewhere that you got to go through the Jones Act to get. This is on the continental United States. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
For those who don't understand, the Jones Act was where ships, I think, go to the United States first and then go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, well, the Jones Act interferes with any ports in the United States, essentially. And
right, you got to stop there first. It's sad.
You got to do all the accessing, and like, for example, I transported stuff for Greenpeace to Puerto Rico from Miami because Greenpeace couldn't dock in Puerto Rico because they didn't have a United States flag.
So they had to go back to the States and then come back. Makes absolutely
so they
no
asked
sense.
Me, they had a bunch of commodities for Puerto Rico, and they couldn't deliver them because of the Jones Act. So they asked me to ship them when I did the Puerto Rico relief effort. So I shipped 5 containers to Greenpeace, and they picked them up, and we got them over.
Ironically speaking, I actually think that is sort of a thing where you find that the unions are guilty of, I think, supporting that as well.
The interesting, yeah, of course. The union thing is interesting. This, basically, the whole thing about like the port of and I know this. I was there. No government side or politician can tell me shit about Puerto Rico. So the interesting thing about all that, well, the unions did this and the government did that and the police did this. Sometimes everybody understand. Hurricane Maria impacted every single person on the island. That does not leave out the police and the unions and all these other people. They were destroyed like everybody else.
Yes.
So the idea was, the proper idea was to use our tax dollars that we're supposed to have to make sure that those people are supported. You don't go over there and go, where are the police? Well, the police are at home trying to unflood their house and put it
exactly. Yeah.
It's communities have to tell us what they need, and then we have to give it to them.
Bobby, centralizing back to the topic at hand, feeding the people. Tell me now, because we're coming close on the end of the interview. First of all, good work. Now, tell me what do what's going forward? Are you planning on doing out there?
So the next 2 things that are on the calendar already is that in July 24th at a place called The Red in downtown Portland, which is a people of color, Black and brown and indigenous place to support the local community. And Portland has an interesting base like that. I was actually, in my farming network, I knew people up here. Actually, Kwabena, who you know, Kwabena and Nkrumah, who you've met, he's actually the mentor of Eddie Hill here. And we connected through the farming network. So I spent some time there the other day. So every second Monday, for example, if you're in Portland, you go to The Red, and anything that you buy, you're going to be supporting locally sourced business, indigenous people, et cetera, because it's all urban farms and they have one vendor. So we're bringing in a food truck, Korean, Bo Kwan, who was yesterday, we're bringing him in, he's going to be serving. But if you're around, do it. But Friday night, we're doing something with Eco Trust. Also, we're bringing the fish, so it's going to be prepared there so it can be given to the communities. Nothing gets sold in those type of things. We want to make sure the community sees it. Ideally, we want to be able to employ people, but until all that funding's in place, again, it's about commodities getting to the people. So if you're around, in Portland, go to The Red on actually Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, 24th, 25th, 26th, And then I've got the Walk for Change virtual town hall. You did the last one on June 20th. We got a Walk for Change coming up. Walk, the number 4 change.us, coming up on July 25th. That'll be next one. We'll have a full Native American panel from here that is going to be talking a lot more in detail. Give you a sideline on this real quick. So one of the lady, Deborah, who ran me around, you'll see it on the videos, who ran me around. So she was at the event at the City Hall in Cascade Locks. And what she's doing is she's going through the community and she's making sure that the census data is okay, because one of the big issues the Native American community are having is being able to register to vote, because they don't have an address at this United States government property in lieu of, for example. And yet these are the kind of people that need to vote because they got issues, you know, as many as anybody else. So she's the one that led me to all these communities. And of course, we documented to everybody. We always document so we can show people what's going on. They know it's real. I'm not here blowing smoke up everybody's patooties or whatever. You know, this is not the Onion. So this is important. So in the next Walk for Change Town Hall, we're going to have the Native American community from here come on and explain all these wonderful and tragic situations that they're in and the work that they're doing to fix it. To give you examples. That's
well, I know you're gonna lead that for me, and we're gonna have all you guys on in the next one. Look, Bobby, magnanimous work, exceptional work. Keep up what you're doing, brother. We've been at this for a long time, and you know what, man? I'm gonna tell you, if we, you, and others don't do it, it's not gonna be televised.
It's true enough. It's true enough. Yeah,
Thank you so kindly, Bobby Rodrigo, for being on Politics Done Right.
Always a pleasure, Egberto.
I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.